Good evening. Please stand for the pledge of the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for those in attendance and those who are watching it or reading the minutes for attending. So we will start with the approval of the minutes. 2.1, motion approving the October 23rd, 2024 minutes of the regular meeting of the town board. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried. Thank you. Bid openings? We don't have any. But we do have two public hearings this evening. The first one we're going to start off with is the town budget hearing.
It's gonna all be up here now. What's that? You're gonna do it from up here? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go over here, just sit there and turn that way. Just so I can see it.
Next.
Yeah. Okay, while you're getting that ready, let me just read the notice of public hearing.
We're on.
So the notice of the public hearing on the preliminary budget. The notice is hereby given that the preliminary budget of the town of Vestal for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2025 has been completed and filed in the office of the town clerk at 605 Vestal Parkway West, Vestal, New York, where it is available for inspection by any interested person during regular business hours. Further notice is hereby given that the town board of the town of Vestal will meet and review said preliminary budget and hold a public hearing thereon at the Town Hall, 605 Vestal Parkway West, Vestal, New York, at 6 p.m. on the 6th day of November, 2024. And that at such hearing, any person may be heard in favor of or against the preliminary budget as compiled or for or against any item or items herein contained. Pursuant to section 108 of the town law, the proposed salaries of the following town officers are hereby specified as follows. Supervisor, $73,271. Councilman, each receiving $12,429. Town clerk, $86,790. Highway superintendent, $113,092. And that was dated on November 1st, 2024. So with that, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, so just for the record and for those of you here, this is Nick Angeline, he is our town controller. So he's going to go through the PowerPoint explaining the different parts of the budget. Thank you.
Okay. We're on. Okay. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending our budget hearing tonight. Like Supervisor Sexton said, my name is Nick. I'm the comptroller. And this is our 2025 Town of Vestal budget presentation. Sounds good. Okay. Next slide. Okay, so this slide is displaying our Town of Vestal tax cap. Our tax levy limit from New York State Office State Comptroller, $10,065,000. We were able to be under the tax levy limit for our preliminary budget, which is a good thing. Our preliminary budget total expenses came in at $10,064,707. And we were $300 under the tax cap. And this also is a note, this is without the addition of the Vestal Mercy Squad. So the Vestal Mercy Squad was established as a tax district. We brought them on because they're having issues of their future survival. So we brought them on to the town as a tax district. Supervisor Sexton, do you want to chime in or? Yeah.
So basically, just a reminder, we had discussed and voted on establishing EMS this year as a taxing district because they could not survive without it. They have done and managed up until now, but they're just not generating enough income to be able to sustain them. So it was literally a choice of either having an ambulance service or not anymore. So the taxing district that they established does fall under our 2% cap, and that's why it's mentioned in our budget. Well, it would be mentioned anyway. but it is new this year, and so it does affect our overall percentages when you calculate the tax cap. But as a reminder, we all knew that the extra tax was coming. It is not something that was a choice if we wanted to keep our ambulance service, and they explained to the public, and we had public discussion about it, and the taxing district was established. So that is a new tax for everybody. That is an increase in everybody's taxes, but like I said, we went over it. They did a whole presentation for us. It was a public discussion. And it was either came down to whether we were going to establish the tax and continue with ambulance service in the area or not. So just a reminder, it is going to be an added tax on there. We do support our EMS tremendously. They are still mostly volunteer. They have done an amazing job and continue to do it. And their budget will be under the town purview and under supervision going forward. So we'll be discussing with them about conserving money going forward. But again, it is largely volunteer with some paid service from paramedics because the amount of training, they have to pay people for it. But that is going to be included in the budget. So that's what he's going to touch on next. But that's just a reminder. We did the best we could with the general budget. Everybody, our department has an amazing job, but it is going to be an added tax for everybody. But, okay.
Thank you. Yep. So next slide. Okay. So with the addition of the EMS squad, we would, after discussion with the state comptroller's office this fall and late summer, we had to override the tax cap to bring them in. And it's a calculation that the state comptroller does, and it won't be complete until next year. So the levy we're bringing in for the emergency squad is $985,000. So it does put the levy over the tax cap by $984,700. And with the EMS addition, tax levy in our preliminary budget is over the tax cap. Thank you. So this slide is a breakdown of your tax dollar breakdown as you prepare for your taxes in 2025. As you can see, the school tax is 63 cents to your dollar. It's a majority of your tax dollar. The county coming in second at 19 cents. The town at 12 cents, fire at 4 cents, and the library and now the EMS at a penny of your dollar each. And this has been fairly consistent over time, except for the EMS addition. So this slide is the pie chart in numeric form. So as you can see, Vessel Schools, the top, Broome County coming in second, Town of Vessel third, the fire district, and then the EMS and the library. It totals $1, and it's been pretty consistent ratio over the history of operations in the Town of Vessel. Okay, so this slide is the general highway funds without the EMS. General highway funds combined have a total budget of $22,912,961. And a tax levy to support the operations of the highway and general fund, $8,923,000. Next slide. General highway funds with the EMS addition. Now you're adding on the extra tax levy of the EMS district on $985,000. That brings your budget of the three combined $23,897,961. That tax levy will be $9,908,000 to support the three operations. So to support the operations of the general fund and highway fund, we have our revenue sources. Right here is a breakdown of the two. Tax levy is $8,923,000, and all other revenue sources, which I will show in the next slide, $13,989,000. So here's a breakdown of the revenues that support the operating expenditures of the general highway fund. So revenues and the total cost of services provided for the general highway fund were up $592,000 compared to 2024. So you can see here two charts, got 22 columns, 2024 adopted revenues and 2025 preliminary revenues. You can see the majority of the revenue sources, real property taxes. Underneath that, sales tax and franchise fees. Those make up a huge part of our budget. Also, another number to point out, departmental income, which is increases for recreation departments and also police SROs, for instance, and then miscellaneous local sources, which is our mortgage tax and they call it AIM funding from New York State. So those make up the $536,000. So your total revenue number for 2025 budget, $22,912,000 and change. So next slide. So this slide's a summary of the highway and general fund cost of services. So compared to last year, we're looking at our appropriations expenditures are up $592,000. And these highlight the general highway funds combined, and we'll get into some further slides that show the breakdown of each fund respectively. So that's good. So this right here is a slide for our general fund funding by category. Total general fund number at the bottom for the 2025 budget, you're looking at $16,579,000. And that's an increase of $328,000 compared to 2024 budget. The major costs are our contractual for wages at the first on the line, our debt service costs, utilities are going up, NYSEG, Constellation Energy, New York State retirement costs, the planned rates that we have to contribute to the New York State retirement, those are increasing, and FICA, so, and then, yeah, so this is majority of our costs. This slide here is a general fund spending by function. So general government support, a major expense for the general fund that's made up of various departments such as engineering, my department, council people, there's a lot of departments in there. Public safety is the police, the building department, and dog control, that's $5,660,000. Keep residents safe. Another major cost, culture and recreation. It's made up the parks department, recreation department, and the pool. And then employee benefits. Those are just major costs to give their employees and provide services to the town. This is just a pie chart of our general fund spending. See, public safety, general government support, and employee benefits are major pieces of the pie that we have to pay. So the slide is for general fund balance, our 2024 estimated fund balance for a general fund. This is estimated unaudited, $2,770,000. And it's a pretty stable position for a general fund. It's recommended to have a range of between 10% and 15% of your next year's operating expenditures, and we're a little over 16% right now. So it's pretty stable. This slide is for the highway fund spending by category. Highway fund total expenditures are $6,333,000 for 2025. That's an increase of $260,000 from 2024. And once again, you'll notice the major expenses of the highway fund with the increases will be the wages and our contractual for employees, debt service, New York State retirement, and FICA costs. And all of our department heads have been really good with keeping expenses flat for the departments going into 2025. It's been a major help just because of all the other costs out of our control in the economy are going up. So we have to take care of our employees. Next slide. This slide here is a summary of the highway fund spending by their interdepartments in the highway fund. General repairs, which covers the majority of the employees. Improvements funds are your roads. Snow and ice control, there's a slight increase. That's snow removal, ice removal of our roads to keep them clear. Debt service costs are going up for future capital projects. And this is the same number, bottom line number of the total expenses of the prior slide for highway fund. And this is a pie chart showing the breakdown of the departments. As you can see, the general repairs, debt service, employee benefits make up a major cost, and snow and ice removal too of the highway fund total expenditures. And the slides for public comment. If there's any questions, take.
Yeah, can we just go to the microphone? Because it goes on video, so they can't hear you. So those people that do watch it would like to, they want to hear what the question is. Oh, yes, please. Thanks. I'll take notes. Thank you.
First of all, Nick and Scott, were there any FTE reductions?
I'm sorry.
Were there any FTE reductions
Sorry.
across
Oh.
any of the departments?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Headcount.
Sorry.
Right idea.
Sorry. Yes. Okay. And go through the rest of them. And then if I miss anything,
Nick,
we can catch up
you
afterwards.
answered the reserves right.
Mhm.
Do we have any idea, we went over EMS, do you have any idea where the fire district? I'm assuming we're great.
Okay. When we go through all the questions, and then when I miss something, which I probably will, we'll revisit. You can ask it again because I want to get everything that you ask.
And then the last one
Mhm.
was, based on the last budget.
Mhm.
There was discussion about setting some of the numbers for 25 back to 20.
Okay. Thank you. So let me see if I get everything. So full-time to part-time positions, yes, we did have a few changes. Our HR position became a part-time, went from a full-time to a part-time position. And the clerk's office is the third position in that department is a part-time, but that is still under consideration pending the final decision for the final version of the budget, depending on what the board decides next week in terms of tax collection. So the request from the town clerk was to make it a full-time position again. So that's still under consideration. But right now in this present preliminary budget, it's listed as a part-time position. And the second thing, the fire district, I don't know the particulars. I do know that Tom McCartney has a plan to get them on a very sound financial foothold, but they are kept to the same cap that we are. So they're just like our costs increase, their costs increase. So I assume that they're going up, but that's an assumption on my part. I don't have any specific information. And the 2025 and the 2024 expenditures in the departments, yes, all of the department heads went back to 2024 expenditures. In fact, let me expand a little bit on that. So, like I said before, our department heads did an amazing job with a very, very tough budget. In terms of our overall numbers, we were hit with a lot of fixed increases that we could not that you can't change. They're fixed increases. So the wages contractually are 3% for all our union employees. And as a town, we made a decision that 3% would be matched for any non-union employee as well to make it fair and keep everything consistent. But the wages were kept at 3%, but that is an inherent increase. Debt service increased as well. New York State in retirement, double-digit increase. Medicare, double-digit increase. FICA, big increase as well. Fuel and utilities, 7% across the board for affecting so much, including the lighting districts, which are, and that's in a multi-year plan where it's going to be 7% for the next few years as well. Software programs are in double-digit increases as well. And then there's all kinds of contracts and services. Our printer, so if we have a contract for a printer, everything went up. The audit services are in double-digit increases, and those are mandated increases. So professional services increase it in the double digits as well, and insurance as well. So all these fixed increases, obviously, we were trying very hard to get it under the cap because we know that every resident, you get that bill, and it matters less. I mean, the costs go up, but as much as we can minimize as possible. So we talked to our department heads and we asked them, can you go back to the 2024 budgets? And they all said that they could manage within it. But I want to tell you, they are juggling their budgets. They're doing an amazing job. But yes, their expenditures actually overall I believe, went down in total, with some outstanding departments that really saved money, and some departments that had a small increase, but very conservative spending. Every department head went line by line with the patience of saints, went line by line with us over everything that they need, and talking about needs and not wants. I mean, you always want the wants, but it's just almost impossible this year. So Stace gets an incredible shout out because his whole budget with all our police force went down. And that is through their work, not only with their cost efficiency and their manpower scheduling, to ensure that we're minimizing the cost to our residents and maximizing the service to our residents, but also actively seeking and acquiring grants. And so our police department is amazing. Our officers are incredible, and our residents value their safety. And I have not yet met an officer, and I don't think I ever will, that does not do an incredible job. They're out there, they're proactive, they're professional, and they serve our residents incredibly. Police departments are expensive, and Stace does an amazing job at acquiring the equipment through grants. And he even found funding for an extra person this year. So they have gone on above. Their total budget is down. So while most of our departments went back to 2024 levels, he actually kept 2025 because obviously it's a complicated budget to begin with, but it was actually less overall. And Debbie, the same. Her budget, line by line, went down tremendously. Lincoln did an amazing job in code as well. Again, line by line, decreased his budget. And Patrick in recreation. Even through all the things that he deals with, he was able to decrease his budget for this year. So his budget is not the 2024 numbers, it's 2025. But even though you look at the numbers, sometimes on the paper, his revenue, he always accounts for everything that he expands with the increased revenue. So the revenues balance out the expenditures. And in fact, he is paying for more for his entire program than last year. So all of our people are doing an amazing job. And so, yes, almost all of them went back to 2024. Some were able to do better, but all did their best, and they stepped up and they did an incredible job. And without cutting services to any of the residents. So again, a huge shout out to our department heads who worked really hard, Nick and everybody else who participated in the budget, all our board members who showed up for all the meetings to try to get this through. And just, we worked really hard because we know at the end of the day, that tax bill, to get it under 2% is so important because we know we need our EMS, but we know that everybody tries to make their own budgets as well. And, it's never an easy time for anybody. So we tried to do the best we can. I know all of our people stepped up. They did an amazing job. So this was the best that we could put forward. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Mhm.
So can you give me the time rate, please? I was thinking 140. $3.4759.
Thank you.
So my other comments are with regards to
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, does anybody else have any questions or comments on the preliminary budget? Okay, with that, we're going to close the public hearing. Thank you. And right, we already voted on it. We're good. Double checking. Yes, no, I know. We have another public hearing. And so we have our second public hearing is on our special district, which is our water and sewer district. So again, it is a budget hearing. with the addition of a proposed rate increase. So maybe the legal notice. So we're open the second, we open the public hearing for the special district. So please, the legal notice read, please take notice that the town board of the town of Estill, Broome County, New York, has completed the assessment rolls for and in connection with certain improvements, and that the same was filed in the office of the town of the clerk of the town of Estill on the first day of July 1st, 2024, consisting of the following: Drainage District Number 1, Drainage District Number 2, Drainage District Number 3, Drainage District Number 4, Drainage District Number 5, Drainage District Number 6, Drainage District Number 7, Drainage District Number 8, Drainage District Number 9, Drainage District Number 10, Drainage District Number 11, Drainage District Number 13. Okay, hopefully there's no 12. And then Drainage District Number 14, Drainage District Number 15, Drainage District Number 16, Drainage District Number 17, and Drainage District Number 18. And number 2, Consolidated Water District Number 1, 3, Consolidated Sewer District Number 1, and number 4, Central Light District. Please take further notice that rate changes are being proposed for consolidated water and sewer districts. Please take further notice that the town board of the town of Estill will meet in the principal chambers in the Town Hall 605 Vestal Parkway West, Vestal, New York, on the 6th day of November 2024 at 6 p.m. for the purpose of hearing and considering my objections, any objections which might be made to said assessment rolls, including maintenance and bond changes related thereto. And that was dated October 25th. So with that, we open the meeting. Actually, we have a presentation. Okay, thank you very much again. Who will go over the budgets. Thank you.
Supposed to be a special district. What number is that, Steve?
7.
All right, thank you. Welcome back for intermission. So our next budget, we're doing the 2025 special districts. This includes the water, sewer, lighting, the lighting and drainage districts. Next slide. Okay, we're going to start off with the water fund. So the water district total spending plan, you're looking at for 2025, $4,215,335. That's a 5% increase from 2024. So right here is a listing of the major expenses of the water department administration, which pays out the majority of the employees of the water department, source supply, water purification, water transmission, debt service, retirement, FICA, and employee benefits. So you can see there's some increases compared to prior year. Major increase you're looking at is New York State retirement and employee benefits. So next slide. For the water district, here is a slide for future infrastructure improvements that are current and ongoing. They're expected to be completed within the next couple of years. Future projects, well 4 and 5 treatment facility for water supply. That's a cost of $2,300,000. Replacing water meters, ongoing project costing $500,000. Replacing the Dodd Road tank, $2,400,000. Replace powder house tank of $2 million. And currently the Bun Hill Vestal Road Infrastructure Improvement Project, $2 million. And we're receiving a grant for that in the amount about just estimated about $995,000. And that's completed next year. Next slide. Sewer district overview. The sewer rate is comprised of costs for collection and treatment. Treatment costs are set by the Binghamton JC Joint Sewer Board in the Village of Endicott, and treatment and plant capital costs for the two costs above. It's about 77 to 70% of the total sewer district budget. For 2025, the total sewer district budget is $5,579,000, And that is an increase of $266,000 and change compared to 2024. And the major cost driver of the sewer district budget is the Johnson City Binghamton Joint Sewer Treatment Plant and the Village of Endicott plant. So the Binghamton Johnson City Joint Treatment Plant, the cost for 2025, $3,471,000. That's up $227,000 from 2024. We can't control that cost. We're governed by the board and we have to pay it. And that's what everyone's experiencing in the valley. Next slide is the Village of Endicott Treatment Plant, 2025 estimated costs, $833,000 for 2025. The cost is greatly affected by inflow and infiltration, I&I. The plant will be operating under a DEC consent order requiring plant upgrades and plans to reduce inflow and infiltration, and those are still ongoing. So those result in the increased costs from the Village of Endicott. And that's up $91,000 from 2023. And once again, you can't control that cost. Okay. Additional significant factors to look out for the water and sewer, flow management plan, flow management plan for all joint plant users continues to impact both operating and capital costs. The Chesapeake Bay watershed requirements also affect the Endicott plant budget, and the town of Vessel is in compliance with the requirements to reduce I&I inflow and infiltration. Next slide. For the sewer district, current repairs and improvements that are complete or in progress, ongoing for future. We have video and repair of sewer trunk lines. That's an ongoing project. Point repairing, ongoing project. Smoke and dye testing, ongoing. Replacing sanitary sewer lines, that's still ongoing. And we're looking to add an additional 1 or 2 lift station upgrades to be determined in 2025. So on to the other 2 special districts we have the Whiting District. The total budget for the Whiting District is $218,000. The tax levy will be increasing last year from $150,000 to $218,000. And that's due to projected increase of utility costs from NYSEG for our streetlights in the Central White District. Drainage districts, 18 districts, that's staying flat compared to 2024. Total appropriations of the drainage districts, $98,702. That's one more slide. Okay. So this slide is for, we're looking at water sewer rate increases starting in 2025 to keep up with the costs, the increasing costs that we're experiencing out of our control costs in order to continue with our water and sewer operations. So what's that? Yeah, and the water and sewer, the majority of the costs are funded by user fees. Small portion of the water sewer district are funded by tax levy, very small portion, but it's mostly funded by user fees. And they will be increased because we have to keep up with our ongoing costs. Thank you very much. Public comment session.
Okay.
Thank you, Scott. I surely don't envy your job. Who is doing your grant? Okay. And do we happen to know what the average impact per household will be? And then I did have one carryover question that I forgot, if I may. I had always heard that if you ever go over the 2% tax cap, that your star exemption is at risk. Do we know the answer to that?
Yeah, the answer that we got was no.
Okay.
In fact, City of Binghamton went 4% this year.
Okay.
And it's the driving costs once again. So, but so the average, I don't know if, do you want to speak on that?
Residential. I know commercial
Yeah.
is different ballgame.
So the idea is to keep the burden off minimum users, we have more minimum users than anybody
Mhm.
else. Okay, so it's raising, raising at, bottom line is minimum bill, $112 a quarter to 130.
About 20.
Thank you.
Okay, no, thank you very much. And I just want to emphasize, I am truly personally impressed with the cost efficiency of, our people who are tasked with so much on their plates. And Scott is a great example. He juggles everything and they do it so cost effectively, but a reminder to everybody who uses the water and sewer system, that all of our pipes and all of the equipment, it is an aging system. And as we know, when we have water main breaks, or we have issues with a sewer line, these are systems that are getting old and need repair, maintenance, and upgrading. And so Scott does an amazing job, not only of planning all of these projects, which are absolutely necessary if we want to maintain the system, but these rate increases have been a long time coming. The sewer, as we just saw in the presentation, the vast majority of the sewer cost is not, it is a fixed cost. It is what Endicott charges us, is what the Johnson City, Binghamton sewer plants charge us. So most of it is not actually the town cost. And Scott does an amazing job controlling the town cost as much as possible. But we have not had, the last time that we had a sewer increase was in 2022. But the last time that we had a water charge increase was in 2014. And they held the line up until now, but they have been using basically their reserves. They've been using their reserves every year to subsidize what they have to do. And there are projects that they really needed to do and couldn't afford to do. So in 2022, they had to use the fund balance or the reserves of 130, and this is just for water, $135,298. In 2023, it was up to 215,526 from the reserves. And in 2024, it was up to 362,232. And as we know, reserves like your bank account don't last forever. We have to adjust the water bill. And a comparison, and we're going to be doing a comparison and an informational for everybody to understand that our water, and I am one of the users of the system, comparatively to the surrounding areas, are much lower. Our rates are much lower than the surrounding areas. But we literally have to meet the cost of maintaining the system. The reserves will not last forever. And so Scott has been incredible in making a multi-year plan to gradually increase it so as to minimally impact the people, but we have to do it. We have to maintain the system. We have to make sure that they don't deplete their reserves, and we have to make sure that they can do what they need to do. Once again, I am absolutely amazed at all the projects that Scott juggles all the time. And he gets as much funded as he can possibly do through grants and that. But there's a lot of stuff that just comes out of his general budget that he has to account for and plan for. So once again, the cost of things go up and maintenance goes up. But this is a very gradual increase, as much as he could possibly do, as minimally as he could possibly do it. But it is going to have to be a multi-year plan so that we can gradually introduce it. But the alternative was to do it all at once, and honestly, it would be too impactful on our residents. So Scott made a great plan and managed to do it with all of the residents in mind. So that's all I have to say. So, okay, does anybody else have any question or comment? Oh, okay. No, it's okay. Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll close the public comment section of it, and we'll close the public hearing.
Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Scott, for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you, Nick, for all of your work with the budget. A lot of work. You did a great job, worked very hard, and all your work in the presentation so we could make it clear to everybody why their tax bill is the way it is. So thank you. Okay, and with that, we will move on to the rest of our agenda. So, they don't really have any other supervisors updates. Privilege of the floor. Does anybody have on the rest of the agenda? Does any member of the audience have a question or a comment on any other agenda item? There is a section at the end if you have a question on anything else. Okay, with that, then we will move on to resolutions and motions. We don't have any resolutions or motions this evening. And we move on to Public Works. Steve?
All right, 8.1, authorization for Scott Groats, Water and Wastewater Superintendent, to update the fee schedule for the Water Department with a proposed effective date of January 1, 2025.
Thank you. And do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried.
Okay, 8.2, request from Scott Groats, Water and Wastewater Superintendent, for town board approval to award the chemicals bid to the single bidder Slack Chemical Company, 465 Clinton Street, Carthage, New York, 13619.
And do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried.
Okay, request from Chet Kupiec, Broome County Deputy Commissioner of Highways, for the town supervisor to sign a renewal of the snow and ice control contract with Broome County Department of Public Works.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And it's carried. And Sue, Finance?
Request from the town board to authorize Daniel D. Reynolds, town attorney, to sign a stipulation of settlement for 2021-22, 2022-23, 2023-24, pertaining to the following Article 7 tax certiorari case, 3401 Fuller Hollow Road, tax map number 175.09-1-2. The business office is authorized to process any refunds. And the rule here, the assessment, the fair market value, all that information is listed in the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried.
9.2, request from Daniel D. Reynolds, town attorney, to authorize payment of billable hours on 2 cases for the period May 21, 2024 through October 30, 2024. Total time was 15 hours and 42 minutes. Total amount is $3,140.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried.
Request from Jessica Farley, Deputy Comptroller, for approval of a sewer department budget amendment to transfer $61,891 from the refund of prior year's appropriation line S2701-2701 to the Village of Endicott Waste Treatment Line S8130-4581 to cover Endicott sewer wastewater bill.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried.
9.4, request for the town board to authorize Daniel D. Reynolds, town attorney, to sign a stipulation of settlement for 2024, 2025 pertaining to the following Article 7 tax certiorari case, 408 Commerce Road tax map number 158.08-1-1, the roll year 24-25, assessment $1,435,200, fair market value. All this information is listed in here in the agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's carried. Okay, first, Steve, did you have anything else?
Nothing under
Personnel?
personnel this time.
Thank you. And Sue, planning and zoning? Sorry for
Okay.
all the time. Sorry.
11.1.
Thank you.
It's a test, I know.
I'm sorry.
11.1, request from Vern Myers, Town Engineer, for the Town Board to discuss an application for an overlay district, Plan Development District PDD, overlaying an Industrial Development District ID at the former National Pipe and Plastics Complex, 3421 Vestal Road. If in agreement, please approve a publication date of November 22, 2024, for a public hearing on December 4, 2024.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried.
11.2, request from Vern Myers, Town Engineer, for the Town Board to approve a supplemental agreement for $14,355 with the project consultant engineer, McFarland Johnson, for the Vestal High School pedestrian improvements project.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried.
11.3, request from Vern Myers, Town Engineer, for the Town Board to pass a resolution entering into an agreement with New York State Department of Transportation authorizing $426,000 for the Baker Hill Road over Tracy Creek Bridge Replacement Project. This project is being funded by the 2023 Bridge New York program, which funds 95% of the project costs.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So
So-
moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Second.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried. And thanks to Vern for obtaining all of the funding for all the projects this year. He's done an absolutely amazing job. So, next one.
11.4, authorization to reappoint Thomas Gorman as a member of the town's planning board retroactively to 7/8/2024 until term ending 7/7/2029.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I abstain.
Thank you. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. And it's carried. And Sue, I'm sorry.
Public safety, request from Phil Walter, Captain with Vestal Fire Station 2, to put up a temporary sign on town property at the corner of Grand Avenue and New York Route 26 to advertise their annual breakfast with Santa on December 8, 2024. The sign would be placed in early November and removed December 9, 2024.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And it's carried. And Robert?
13.1, authorization for Gazelle Racing Timing, Race Timing LLC to use the rail trail on December 22nd, 2024 for a Christmas cookie run to benefit Play It Forward. This is for use of the rail trail only and does not include any use of the Cole House building.
Thank you. And so do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried. So Sue, do you want me to read these?
It's okay. I got it. I have
Okay.
the explanations here.
Thank you. There's no
Um,
receiving, yeah, I don't know why there's two headings for receiving file, but there's receiving file, sorry.
It's okay. Warrants
Thank you.
2024, 43G, 43C, 43M, 43T, 44G, 44C, 44M, 44T. These are the bills that the town pays. If it ends in G, it's a weekly general operating expenditure. C, weekly capital expenditures. M, weekly health insurance claim expenditures. And T, weekly FSA, that's a flexible spending account expenditures. In addition, we have town clerk's October report, Supervisors, January report, February report, March report, April report, May report, June report, July report, August report, September report. 239 report, Johnson City, change of tenants, 3714 Vestal Parkway East, Broome County Tax Map 158.12-3-20.2. Change of tenant 3801 Vestal Parkway East, Broome County Tax Map 158.12-2-6, 1 and 7. Change of tenant 732 Vestal Parkway East, Broome County Tax Map 157.19-2-2. Change of tenant 535 Vestal Parkway West, Broome County Tax Map 173.22-1-8.1.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And petitions and protests, we don't have any. Old business, we don't have any. New business, we do. 16.1, authorization to appoint Donnie Yonker to serve as the acting superintendent of highways effective November 1st, 2024 through the remainder of the current term, which ends on December 31st, 2025. Mr. Yonker's rate of pay will be $109,798. So do we have a motion?
Also moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And it's carried. Thank you. Okay, supervisors announcements. First of all, I really want to thank Craig Keller for all of the time and all of the work that he's done to not only make our highway department run, but he does an incredible vision of our parks department as well. And he has done incredible improvements above and beyond. He just retired after 23 years and 4 months of service with the town of Estill. And I just wanted to say thank him for everything that he's done. He is just absolutely incredible at what he's done. And he has handpicked his successor, Donnie, with 25 years of experience, who will continue on with the great ideas that Craig has started. So we wish him well. Know he has plans. And we just wanted to say thank you for all of your service to both the town board, town residents, but for all of us. Thank you. The second thing, second announcement is, so we're putting out, town board has put out a tax collection survey, and that's now available on the town website now through next Wednesday, which is November 13th. Residents that prefer to answer the survey in person may come to the town hall and complete the survey this Friday, November 8th, 2024, from 2 p.m. until 7 p.m. in this room, in the town hall itself. And then, or Monday, November 11th, 2024, from 2 p.m. until 7 p.m. They can answer it in person as well for those people who are more comfortable doing the hard copy version. Very simply, the tax collection survey is to ask residents, give them information about Broome County tax collection. Deborah Wallace has done a great job with tax collection over the years. Broome County offers a service as well. So the fact sheet is included with the survey, and the pros and cons of each, and there are pros and cons to each. And we're putting it out there. Now, the board is going to meet next week to consider the idea, but we really want to get residents' input to find out what's important to them, what they need, what they want, and it would be a change. And because it's a change, we want to hear from people as much as possible. So we are trying to reach out as much as possible. We're doing a press release tomorrow. Hopefully the news will pick up on it. There are the electronic signboards will have notices on it. And it is on the webpage as well for anybody who visits the webpage. So we encourage all residents to answer it. It does not take that long to answer. But we really, really do want your input. We really do want to listen to you, and we want to hear from everybody and your thoughts and your feelings, because we as board members represent every resident, and we want to represent what is important to every resident, and to ensure that in everything that we do, that we hear what's important to you. So we please encourage everybody to answer it. 18 years old and up, though, please, and Vestal residents only. But so thank you. And leaf pickup has started. So please rake your leaves to the curb, but not in the road or the street. And the crews have been, and they will be around again right up until the snow begins to fall. So please, if your leaves are piling up, please get them out there, because once this first snowfall hits, they have to convert a lot of equipment, and it's no longer possible. So thank you. That's all for the supervisor's announcements. And then we'll go back to. Okay, committee chair comments and updates. Does any committee chair, any board member want to add anything else?
Finance Committee is very grateful that the budget is at the end stages, and very grateful for all the hard work of Nick Angeline and Jessica Farley, who has stepped in and helped with other assignments along the way as we've tied Nick up just unceasingly with the budget. So thank you very much. And we're all very grateful that it's almost done.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay. With that, we move to the public comment section. So this section is for any topic that is town business. So questions or comments. And once again, the reminder is please keep it to 3 minutes. Please be respectful, and we'll do our best to answer. Okay. Yes, please come up. Yeah, because the people who watch the video, yeah, they'll be able to hear you that way. Thank you.
Lisa Milkovich, Nelson Road, Vestal. First of all, thank you very much. You're saying I'm short?
I am too.
Yeah, you can talk. First of all, you answered a couple of my questions before I even, in describing the survey, before I even had to get too far into it. So first of all, thank you very much for doing the survey. My very first question was, how's anybody supposed to know about it? That doesn't happen to go on the website. So you answered that. Thank you very much. I did pull up the explanation sheet that you have attached to the linked to the survey, and I really believe that it seems like it's very skewed to favor the county doing it, because I feel like you're I try not to use very strong language here, because I really not like, it's not like, you know, but I feel like you've used, as an example, I'll give you an example. Under the overview, you write a pro for the county is more off-hour payment options for residents, and then you list the different different things. And on the other side, for tax collection by the town, you write in-person tax collection at the town tax clerk's office. Well, that's not the only way you can pay through the town. You can pay online, you can mail it. And one of the things is the secure drop box on the county. Well, if that's an issue, why don't we have a secure drop box here in the town? I mean, so really the only difference between under the pros and cons is e-checks accepted if you add a lockbox here, because all the other in-person times, the mailing, the online is all the same. And I can't emphasize enough the difference in coming here to a little room versus I go up to the mall, to the gym all the time. It's a full parking lot. It's a busy building. And there's, I think the lady from the county said 3 different departments that occupy that space. It's a big change for a lot of folks in this town, which the other part of this issue, as I move down the sheet, is under safety. You write that town employees would not have to handle cash tax payments, increasing their safety. What are you going to do about the other departments that currently have to handle payments in cash and checks?
So do you have any more questions? And I'll
Yep,
try to go
yep.
down the list.
You write that the maximum cost, if the county begins charging, would be 40,000 and change, which was, I believe, more than the original when we talked about this in the very beginning. I think it was $2 a parcel, which was, what was that, 20,000? And then the loss of our penalties and fees. I don't see where the loss, unless I'm reading it wrong, which is possible, that 40,000 doesn't, I don't see the loss of the penalties and fees in that cost. So if I'm missing something, I would love to hear that. And you talk about the need, if the town continued to collect, the security equipment personnel would be instituted at substantial cost to the town. So I'm not really sure what that means. We're talking about bulletproof glass, an armed guard. I mean, or are we just talking about the secure lockbox? So those are my
Okay.
questions.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna miss something, so if you could stay there for a second. So it's only a consideration. So we want to hear so it's only being considered.
Okay.
Okay. And if you look at the fact sheet, I went over it carefully and I asked feedback of a whole bunch of people because I didn't want to skew it one way or another. It only, the pros and the cons only points out the differences. And for some people, as been mentioned before, the in-person thing is it's hugely important to them to have it here.
Mhm.
And if that's the case, then we want to hear that. That's fine. But we want to gauge it because we also hear from other residents, I can tell you personally, a whole bunch of people that can never make it to pay it in person. And we're not aware of any electronic options. So
It's right on the webpage. On your town webpage, it says you can
Yeah.
pay online.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that we'll stick to the fact sheet. So the pros and the cons are the differences. When you go down to set to below, it goes through the specifics and the offerings of both different ones. So it goes through everything that is the same. So it talks to that you can go online for the town and it lists the online options, right? So you can do the debit or the credit card payment,
Mhm.
but you have the fees included in that.
Mhm.
So for a lot of people didn't know about it, but that's an informational thing that can be corrected. But the e-check option would be different. That's why it's listed above. And then the drop boxes are not there. We've had conversations with Deborah that these are maybe some things we can do in-house. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's a conversation about how we move forward in terms of tax collection altogether. But the county does things in a lot of ways. And so we're looking at those options and whether we do them in-house and continue to collect taxes in-house, which is a possibility. And maybe we expand the things for people who work in different either drop boxes or something else, then that's an option. It might be a blended between the two and we do everything in-house. I don't know. But what we hear from residents is very clearly that they don't feel there's enough. If they work full time and they don't live close by and can't get here for lunchtime, they want options. And maybe we can work something out to do it. But I think it's a good conversation to have. But the first thing you do is ask people what's really important to you. So in the question, we ask for a yes or no, but we very importantly, we said, please tell us why.
Yeah.
What is important to you? And so we want to hear from residents, whatever is important to you in any way. And if the electronic payment, the different options are important, then we would need to hear that if that's important, whatever. And then we figure out what we do moving forward. It's not necessarily, we're not saying we're going to jump into the county clearly because we would have done it. We are saying we're considering what is really important to people. And unfortunately, we're in like a short time frame. We like to do surveys for longer periods of time, but we're doing a concerted effort to our highway is even loaning us electronic signs to help us to get the word out.
Yeah.
The electronic signs in the town that are privately run, we have a contract with them. They're running our signs because they're contracted and mandated too. So they're putting it up there. We're also putting it on the website. It'll be in the minutes. It's on the video. We'll get as many people answering as possible. We want to get the people because I always personally, and I never want to assume anything. I get the people complaining about this or that. And that's absolutely normal. And that's what happens. I'm the person to come to. Board members are the people to come to. But is that what people feel? I don't know. And so the more that we reach out and the more that we try to get that public input, if we don't get enough, we might say, we keep it for now. And, or if we start to see certain things popping up, then we consider maybe we modify our procedures for this year. I don't know what the answer is, but we'll come together, see what kind of response. And if we don't get a great response, then then the board will consider what to do, but we have to do it within the time frame for the county. But yeah, so
I guess what I'm
Mhm.
saying, what I'm suggesting, because the specific information down
Mhm.
seems to be fairly cut and dry. It's not opinionated. It's a relatively cut and dry information piece. It's the pros and cons which look really skewed to there's a lot more pros than there are for the county than there are for the town. And the bottom line is, other than your concern about employee safety, which I don't minimize, I'm just saying it's just one. There's other people that are experiencing the same issue of collecting money, and that's not addressing it. The only difference in the physical paying of the taxes to be able to do it is e-checks and a drop box. That's it, because you can be in person here. You can pay online here. You can mail your check here. I've never honestly ever heard anybody complain that they can't get their taxes paid. I darn well sure there'll be people complaining about having to drive to Johnson City or Binghamton to pay in person.
So that's
but my
Okay.
concern is those people, I worry that they won't know that this is happening. And so I appreciate you trying to get it out, the information out. You're not just doing it blindly. I appreciate that. I do. But I do think that if people aren't following along and they look at this and they don't just, really look at it and go, some people, it's a 30-second soundbite world. And they go, oh, pros and cons. Oh, they've got it all figured out. That's all. I don't have to go beyond that. And that's disingenuous, in my opinion, the way that was written. If you'd cut that out and just wrote the facts, that would have been fine. And that's just my opinion. And
Okay.
my husband's already filled it out and he's given his opinion too.
Okay.
So thank you.
But I just want to get to your last question. So security measures are going to be upgraded. It has been reassessed for all departments, and our police chief is actually going around and talking to all of our staff to upgrade security for everybody. And that's why it's not included in numbers or anything, because we're doing it for
So
everybody.
does that have anything to do with this note here that you talk
Well,
about?
because
having to cruise it?
we want to make sure that everybody who's handling cash has the appropriate
Right.
security and procedures in place
Right.
for their safety, and that includes the clerk's office.
Right.
And so we're saying that will be upgraded. And if with tax collection, obviously you're dealing with more than other departments.
Mhm.
So we want to ensure the safety of our personnel. So we've thrown around ideas in-house, but that will be taken care of one way or another. But it is an in-house review, and our police chief is spearheading it. So he's doing a wonderful job. So we really appreciate his input and his expertise. So thank you. Yes.
Me again. So one question not on the tax survey, all the supervisor reports.
Mhm.
It just seems odd that January through September were just filed. Were they late or missed or?
Yeah. So do you want to go through your questions again, and I'll go?
Oh, okay. So
I'll take
that's
the
one.
list, and then you can tell me what I missed.
Now off to the survey.
Mhm.
One thing, Appalachian should be
Mhm.
included. They pay school taxes. So it's not just Vestal residents, it's Vestal and Appalachian. They have a stake in this. Lisa addressed several of the things that I had. The one thing that, and again, I'm going to go back to my profession. I want to see, and Deb, no offense, I could care less where tax collection is done. I've got an escrow, Visions handles mine. But as a taxpayer, I want to know what is the driving force that is causing us to look for change. To me, a driving force equates to a cost benefit analysis. If I look at the fact sheet that's on the website, it doesn't tell me squat. It really doesn't. Fact benefit analysis. I want to see what is the current structure, what is the current cost, what is the proposed structure, what is the proposed cost, and not once on that sheet is the word savings even mentioned. That's what the taxpayer cares about. Is this going to save me money so that 3.4759 is reduced next year. That's the driving factor.
Okay, thank you.
Uh,
Okay, so let me go back.
And I
to-
just had one comment, but you can answer my one question, I
Okay.
guess.
So the supervisors reports, yes, they're getting caught up. So,
Okay.
so the finance department has been down a person all year, and Jessica is nodding her head because she has been doing literally the work of two people all year, so above and beyond. But she has been caught up, and they're caught up in their reports now. But she buckled down, and to her credit, she has worked amazingly hard, but there's only so much that she can do. And then they had somebody new coming in, and she trained her, and everything. Jessica has stepped up above and beyond. We will be fully staffed going forward. So, so they're getting back to ensuring that everything is, but everything's caught up now. But the reason was that literally, even though Jessica was working doubly hard, literally, they literally were a person down. So now they're all caught up. We went over all the reports, all the things, and a report that has not been done for many years. Nobody's disservice, but a report that's typically done from the finance and controller and the finance department to the board will be done going forward, which is a monthly year-to-date report for all the board members. So all the board members will get monthly updates on the actual status of the budget and the spending and everything. So they are on top of it now. But yeah, it was a struggle. But Jessica, I can attest to the fact that she has worked incredibly hard, and Nick has scrambled for all of his responsibilities. They will both work incredibly hard. So now, hopefully, we going forward, we stay fully staffed, and we just keep up with everything. But in going over everything, again, that additional report going forward. So we're all good to go from there. That's the reason for the late reports. Yes.
In addition to that, Jessica has also been treasurer for the fire district until the fire district was dissolved. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. So that also was a factor in not being able to do, it's only so many hours in a day.
Yeah, and it's also with the separation. Yes,
I didn't know how else to say
Yes.
it.
With the separation of the fire department, that was even more work, because a lot of it is getting the fire department's finances in order, because we literally have to transition everything to them now. And that is all the finance department. So, and the last application, I heard you, and it's noted. And the driving force is resident complaints, literally about more options and being able to pay it. I tried to put it down, and I hear what you're saying. The bottom line in terms of cost efficiency, I tried to make it as factual as possible. And I had a bunch of people review it to say, I'm not trying to sell one thing or another. I just want to really say, this is what I'm getting. This is what I'm being told. I double checked the numbers with the county. That's the maximum cost. Right now, they are not charging, the county is not charging the towns anything, literally nothing, for this whole thing, which is a gift. But there are costs involved. And so in the new budget proposal, which may or may not go through, they may actually start charging the towns for it. So I'm putting the maximum cost. This is the maximum amount. It might be less than that, it might be a portion of that, it might be nothing. I don't know, but I'm not going to promise something that may or may not occur. And I didn't want to skew it. That was my, I drafted everything, but I did have a ton of people reading it. I'm like, I didn't want to do it. And with the pros and cons, it was literally, we had a couple of answers to the survey already, that they having it here in person was more important to them. That's it. So people are reading it, and they are saying, no, I want to come in person. So we're reading it, and the explanations, some people write it, some people don't, but I want people to do it. And a bunch of people are so far. We're not getting a tremendous response, but we were timed with election day. We tried to get through we had to get through the budget, and then we're trying with election day. And then today is the decompression. People are happy or sad. And then tomorrow we're going to put the press release out, and then we'll see what response we do or don't get. It doesn't mean we're jumping into everything, but we are being thoughtful of what we do and our procedures going forward. And we're listening to the complaints, the requests and the complaints of residents. And I am fully aware that I do not get a real picture of all residents because I hear people who are aggravated. I hear people who are upset for this or that reason. But I want to know more about the typical experience and the typical wants and needs. I don't know how much we're going to be able to get. We're going to give it our best shot. And then the board's going to meet, just discuss it, and then figure out what we're going to do. So,
Very good.
thank you.
My last thing is just a general comment. Fitting after last night, I guess. And this is not necessarily directed at the three of you for being new board members. It's more so for 13 months from now, when these two individuals are up for reelection. In hindsight, I would like the three of you to go back, look at what you campaigned on, and look at what you've learned in the last 11 months. This is not like running a grocery store. This is deep, thoughtful, and areas that require in-depth knowledge to make the right decisions. So for anybody out there that's listening that has the thoughts of running, do your homework. Come in, attend board meetings. Talk to the county, talk to former board members, get involved. That's all.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else have a question or comment?
Josh Mertens, 328 Doris Ave. So I just want to restate a lot of what Mr. Fletcher and Lisa have said. You yourself said that you want to get everybody involved in the survey. But I feel that excluding the Appalachian people from the town of Binghamton, they also have skin in the game. They pay school taxes. And changing to the county is going to change all of that for not just the residents of Vestal, but for them as well. So it is extremely unfair to exclude them in this survey and not give them a voice to voice their opinion on this matter. Next, how many people in the year 2024 have come in to pay in-person taxes, either in cash or check so far? And then you never answered Lisa's question about the lost revenue from county and late fees and the school district. You guys get $25,000 roughly from the school district and an additional $27,000 in late fees. So that totals $52,000 in the fees, which was already accounted for. The total cost of the in-house is roughly $105,000 and change. It's about a $12,000 difference. But what about those late fees from the county? You just never answered Lisa's question on that.
Well, Deborah had told the stats on, and I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't know what the actual numbers are. And the people, there is a tremendous number of people who come to pay in person, whether by check or by cash. However, once again, going back to the resident, what we hear from residents, and I don't know if it's typical of all residents or not. And so that's what we're trying to find out. I know that I've heard from a bunch of people that if they had a choice, they want other ways to pay. And they only felt that because online, they have to do credit or debit card, which they have this huge fee. And it's a percentage, it's 3% of the total tax bill, which is a lot of money. So they want that option, or they want a Dropbox. And then of course they can still do it by mail, but if they're not comfortable doing by mail, which a lot of people aren't because checks get stolen, and it's not the postal people, but it's from mailboxes, whether it be personal mailboxes or whether it be regular mailboxes. And it's not to their fault because they do the best job that they can possibly do. And if you see our mailbox in front, they try to make it less easy for people to do stuff to. But some people just don't want to do that anymore. And some people in working, they want the convenience of the off hours because they literally can't get here. So they never have the option of coming here if they work too far away. So they never have the option of taking a lunch and coming here in person. So the number is very large, but we're trying to get a sense of whether if everybody wants to come, then that's fine. Then we want to hear that. But if people want other options, and again, it's not necessarily Broome County or here. It's I don't know. Maybe it's different options here. I don't know. It's still under consideration and it's a discussion, but the only way we're going to find out whether those people want to do it is we ask them to answer the survey and say, hey, I want to come in person. Then I want to hear that.
So if you want to hear them, then we should also include the Apple Lake and the town of Binghamton in that survey as well.
Yeah, understand also, getting back to school taxes. So, and I'll do the breakdown in a second. So, the school taxes are contracted with us. We're actually out of contract with them. They're, and trust me, we want to work with them. But ultimately the schools are responsible for their own tax collection. We do it because they contract with us. And it's a convenience for some residents. And if that's what we find in the long run, then that's great and that's fine. And then we do that going forward. But we are responsible for town tax collection. And that is our main responsibility. We are not, we're out of contract with them, and $25,000 doesn't cover the cost of actually collect taxes. So when you split the collection of taxes in two, and that's why I both them together, because Deborah had said, you got to count the two. So I did. And so, if you see on the thing, I tried to do it as factually as possible. I included the revenue. The $27,000 that you're seeing is not a cost, because if we gave it to the county, they keep that, but we don't pay anything. It's not a cost to the town. I did the costs and the benefits if we do our own tax collection, because they cancel each other out, and then you have the difference. And then I did the maximum cost that it would do with the county. So there's no revenue loss, because there's we wouldn't see anything, but I gave the total cost. So we're not getting anything back, but that is our total expenditure. And that was the maximum, assuming that they charge us full board for their tax collection. So again, it's all in there. It's all factual. And I hear you about Appalachian. And I really, I cannot say enough that we want to work with the school system, because we don't want to just say, hey, you got to do it somewhere else. No. But honestly, quite frankly, they have time to plan for theirs. We're under a very short time constraint on what we do. And then it is year by year in whatever we do. So whatever we do this year, we can do something else next year. And so it has to be an ongoing conversation with the schools. And it has to be an ongoing discussion in-house about ensuring that we're meeting the residents' needs and that we're doing everything in a way that everybody can, the residents are happy with. So I don't know what the answer is, but that's what we're trying to find out.
So would you then consider tabling this issue until next tax season to give more people time to answer your survey, to get their opinions known, to reach out to Apple?
We will be deciding that next week. We're simply getting back together to decide what we will or won't do and how we move forward. Quite literally, there's no game plan. It's literally, let's hear what people have to say, figure out where we are. And if we are going to collect taxes, then what alternatives do we have in-house? So we want to look at everything on the table. And that's what we're meeting again next week. And again, yeah, I wish everything was a longer timetable. Unfortunately, it isn't. So we got to work within something that's reasonable, but we will be reassessing going forward all the time, because we want to ensure that that all of our residents have their needs met. So, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, with that. Yep. Okay.
Tracy Briggs, 212 Hoffman Avenue. I just want to comment on ongoingly from what Lisa and others have said. My biggest concern, honestly, because again, mine is paid through escrow, so it doesn't really impact me at all. I don't really care for myself what that decision is. But honestly, my biggest concern is seniors and those that have issues with mobility. So I hear that, some information is going to go out. How are you going to ensure that everyone is going to have access to that information? I know it's on the website. I tell you, I don't normally go on your website often. I just don't. I mean, if I need to leaf pickup when that's starting, something like that, but I often just don't do that. So how are you going to do that for the senior population?
Yeah, so I said, I know, because my dad is in that boat. And so we're doing the press release tomorrow. We had the election day, and then we had the decompression day. And
I was here all day.
So-
I know, I worked.
yes, oh, thank you. Thank you very much. And democratic process is a great thing. So, but it takes a lot of work. So we have the electronic signs up. We're going to have the press release. We're hoping to get the articles out there, because both written and on the news, so that we have as much exposure to everybody as possible. We're also, thanks to Mr. Fletcher's suggestion, reminded me, we're doing an in-person option too for people who are not that comfortable with computers, my dad among them. So, and I don't think he's going to answer this survey per se, but to make it more available. I'm not sure if we can get enough people. And if not, that is a consideration for the board to say, hey, we started this, but we're starting these processes to try to get as much input as possible. So we're doing the press release, we're doing electronic signs, we're doing the web, it's on the website, it's going to be in the minutes of the meetings, and it's going to be in the video. So we're doing the best that we can, literally in every way.
Yeah, I'm just very concerned about that. I really
Yeah.
am. I would think, living right on Hoffman, just
Mm-hmm.
a walking distance from here, I can get here. My husband could get here. It's not a big deal. We've stopped in here many times. But for the senior population, like I would say, this is their place to go. For them to go down to Binghamton or Johnson City, I can see that to be a great struggle for some of them. And I really would ask that you take that into great consideration.
No, thank you. And that's why we want to hear from people. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, with that, a motion to adjourn? Thank you. And a
Second.
Thank you. And all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you all for coming. For what? Oh, goodness. Okay, we have to take that back. We have a motion instead to move into okay, yeah, sorry, I apologize. Thank you. It's been a long day. A motion to move into executive session with the topic of pending litigation. Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, very good. 5-minute break.
No break.
Okay. Okay, 5-minute break to let everybody leave.
I would like to go too. I haven't had a break since I went to New York City for my girlfriend to run the marathon. And a deer decided to add to it. Had to do laundry with my kids at my house Tuesday night because I had to do laundry. I usually try to reserve that time completely for them, except when I'm cooking their meal.
All right, thank you guys. Keep moving. Yeah, thank you.
My apologies, but we need everyone to step outside or we can't have our session.